which the reason I'm actually doing this right now is because I'm getting ready to take everything apart. I got everything I need ready to hit the road, but now I have to assemble everything into the cases. So once I get that done, I will be hitting the road. I would like to think uh, I'll have everything done today, maybe tomorrow, the latest. Hit the road maybe 4 a.m. Monday morning. And if I do, maybe 5. I like the sun to come up a little bit. Don't really like riding it during. There we go.
Guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.
And there we go. Just a test. This is meant to be streaming. I'm just testing out, see how it's streaming to the website. I also am testing to see the storage, and let's see if I saved it in the right format this time. So I'm not really prepared to, I don't want to really send this out yet, because what I eventually is going to happen is that you'll be able to watch it on freedomstream.tv under the Awakening. Probably just anybody for free, but you'll have and probably just anybody for free there. I can set up. I'm going to set up another page for Patreon supporters that will be extra stuff along my travels, which the reason I'm actually doing this right now is because I'm getting ready to take everything apart. I got everything I need ready to hit the road, but now I have to assemble everything into the cases. So once I get that done, I will be hitting the road. I would like to think I'll have everything done today, maybe tomorrow, the latest. Hit the road maybe 4 a.m. Monday morning. And if I do, maybe 5. I like the sun to come up a little bit. Don't really like riding it during the when it's dark out too much on long rides. But hey, that's just me. And so I'll leave probably early, I'm guessing at this point, at this rate, Monday. And be heading north. Oh, look. Now I got my mugs in. Right, so I got the Freedom Stream mug in, which you're on Freedom Stream right now. This is the Safe Vet Riders mug. Very cool. Both were just test mugs, right? I got the site set up. Needed to tweak anything out. It worked perfectly, flawlessly. I think I ordered these, set up the site, ordered them through the fulfillment, and had them within a couple days. And this is going to help tremendously to both support what I'm doing and get the message out, right? So I'm making 2 more. Hopefully I'll have those up today. And because I want to be nonpartisan, because I am nonpartisan, I'm making 2 new ones. I don't like how this laid out anyway. And the next mug, both of these mugs will actually have my mug on it. And there'll be one that says Trump 2020, and there'll be one that says Trump 2020 with our Freedom Stream on it, and then below that it will say ask me about Obama's ShadowNet. And because I like to be nonpartisan, I'm making an exact duplicate of that mug that says Biden 2020 ask me about Obama's ShadowNet. And I think those are going to make great collector's items, as things oftentimes do. And they're a great way to help me if you like to get this message out, right? If you believe that this is important enough and you want to be able to help, and you get a nice mug, which is a great conversation piece, right? So somebody says, what's the ShadowNet? Well, that's an important question that like 99.999% of Americans don't get or know. But it's probably actually something that's having one of the greatest impacts on their life more than anything else right now. I truly believe that. So that's what the American Awakening is right now. The American Awakening is me going out on my bike, because that I have rigged up into a live streaming multimedia platform, and kind of documenting what's going on with all the chaos and everything during the 2020 election, and with all the stuff going on that's been going on in our country even before Trump won, and explaining to people that, listen, there's a very strong likelihood that all of these things that are influencing us so much are products of, if not the ShadowNet, a similar service, right? So I built this for the ShadowNet for Obama's national security advisor, right? General James Jones, for his son, with a company called Dynology. But can you really imagine that it's the only one? No, right? The IIA policy letters, which I have at my website, victimoftheswamp.com, clearly lay out everything that I'm talking about. That's for another video. If everything works out properly, once I get the multimedia studio mounted into my case, I'm going to test it out using my cell phone as which actually has great resolution to it with video, and using it as my wireless camera. If this works out right, just in the office with everything built into the case, if that works out properly, which I believe it will, have no reason to believe it won't, then we're going to take and mount this entire thing onto my bike, right? And with that, I'll be able to have this camera, right, mounted onto a gimbal, mounted onto the front of my bike, right? And the gimbal keeps it so when I turn, the gimbal keeps the camera very cool, right? So this is going to be mounted onto my front, facing forward onto the bike. And then I'll have my other camera facing at me. And they all, I'll be able to put that, I should be able to put that right into 2 windows here, like I do with any OBS. I don't have them set up yet. I'm setting up the I call them index cards, the scenes now. And I'll be able to run those scenes from my phone, right? Actually, the other phone. This phone doesn't have a SIM. It's merely on the same wireless network. So it's basically, I turned it into a wireless webcam. Pretty cool. I've done this with all COTS, all common off-the-shelf, very inexpensive stuff. You wouldn't believe how inexpensive I went with some of this stuff. You can ask Susan. The case, although beautiful cases, perfect for the job, Pelican cases, right? Battlefield tested. The can I had used like to support the case on the inside a toothbrush holder. So that was classy, right? And no, everything is clearly common off the shelf stuff. And I should be able to actually go right into pretty much anywhere. You know, I spent a couple years in combat zones, so um, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not stupid, and I don't want any trouble. I'm actually completely nonpartisan, and you know, I've lived in the worst situations that most people can even imagine, even outside of a combat zone. So I think actually this is going to be pretty interesting. I've got the bike set up so I can go to remote locations, no problem. I'll find out exactly how much runtime I can get from my battery alone, which is built into its own Pelican case, and I can add batteries, right? So with your support, you buy a mug. I sell enough mugs, I can buy another battery, right? And the battery goes into the Pelican cases. I actually Velcro them into there, along with the inverter, pure sine wave inverter, and I get nice clean power, and not a ton of it, but enough to run my system on. And I believe once I shut the bike off, I don't know, you know, I think I'm dealing with about 20 amp hours now. I'm hoping to get maybe 2 to 4 hours worth of power time. I might only get like a lot less than that. I don't know. But let's see, and then I can add it up. I can add some batteries. I can add some time. I think it'd be interesting. I plan on going like into Atlanta. I want to go drive into the neighborhood, like maybe order some Wendy's. No, that's. But go to the Wendy's. Go there. I want to. You know, that doesn't really bother me. I'm not going there to cause trouble by any means, and I don't have a problem with a bunch of people standing out in front of Wendy's with guns. Because I'm a strong, you know, proponent of the Second Amendment. I don't care what color you are. If you're legally entitled to own a gun in America, hell, I'd even argue, even outside some legal requirements, I think people should be able to own guns simply because, you know, you got to be able to protect yourself. You don't want super bad people having guns, but then, you know, you start picking and choosing. So if more people have guns, then people that are super bad tend not to be as, you know, careless if they do have a gun, because they know somebody that's good with the gun's going to probably turn around and shoot them, and maybe they don't want to die that day, right? So it kind of keeps a nice little balance of things. But at any rate, I think this should be kind of interesting. I got this vest right here. I should have shopped at Field and Stream a long time ago. Look, I even got Field and Stream. I love this. I think I'm actually a journalist now. I've got business cards that say I'm a journalist, and I got a jacket from Field and Stream. So, and I got a camera, I got a multimedia studio, and I got a company that says that's a multimedia company. So I am like technically a journalist. I am Anderson Cooper's colleague. I am Jillian Turner's colleague. And I'm going to be just loving to meet with some of my new colleagues, because I have so many questions for them on how to be a good ethical journalist, especially since I spent so much time working, you know, to build the ShadowNet, and I understand how most of this human filth works, how they're using these tools that taxpayers developed at taxpayer expense to exploit our country for their own personal gain, or they'll possibly say they have some greater political motivation, but they don't. It all boils down to that bigger boat, that bigger wine cellar, right? So, any rate, I'm going to go offline now. I won't be able to do another until I get everything like put into the cases, which I've already got the holes drilled out. I've already got the ventilation and everything I need to do. until I get everything mounted in the cases and set up and do a test, which I hopefully won't be too long. Maybe at the late, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe tonight. I'd like to do it tonight if I could. But otherwise, I'm also going to try to figure out where the hell I'm saving the extra. The extra file I have, so that this can be played back at a later time. What I'm going to do is stream it to my website, and then at a later time I'll take the copy that I have, and I will stream it as like a live stream type thing, just a short bit later, at on like YouTube and Facebook through a multi-stream platform as well. So anyway, thank you very much, folks. Like I said, I'm going to start breaking this stuff down. I wish I could show you around, but it is kind of a mess. I got a lot more work to do. But when I get it all done, I think you're going to go, wow, that's pretty cool. And again, thank you very much, Susan. Thank you very much to all my Patreon supporters, right? I suck at getting back at people, but I'm hoping that my actions kind of speak louder than words, because what I put together here is kind of interesting, and I couldn't have done it without your help. And it's the only way that I can find, as stupid as it sounds, right? And you can ask anybody. I'm fully capable of doing some stupid things. As stupid as it sounds, it's like the only way that I can see getting around this incredible mainstream media firewall that even kind of digs down even into kind of this new grassroots independence journalism a bit. There are still some good ones out there. Too many to name, and if I name them, they'll only be tagged as being targets, which they are. They don't mind actually being, and there are some good people, independent, that are fighting to expose the corruption, the influence between our government, mainstream media, the military-industrial complex, and our military, right? There are only a handful of people doing it. And the people that are in the mainstream media, they're making so much money right now, they aren't prepared. They don't have the guts to give up the millions and sometimes millions of dollars that they're making. So that's how these people are working. That's how these people work. That's how they're using them, right? Because they don't have the guts. I had the guts. I stood up in 2015. I stood up even before that. I started standing up. They didn't just fire me one day. I started standing up for stuff and not playing ball about 2013. My career was ended in 2015. A whole nother story for a whole nother day, but my job's not done. I was the Information Assurance Security Officer for a DoD contract in South Korea. And that's kind of one of the biggest reasons that I'm doing this right now, because we need to hold everyone accountable that's abused their positions of authority granted to them by taxpayers, granted to them by patriots, granted to them by people who have fought and died for the freedoms that they exhibit now in their day-to-day life. They enjoy now in their day-to-day life. And a lot of them are subverting those sacrifices for their own personal gain. And we're going to expose them. And we're going to explain to them that there are other ways. There are other options. You know? Because I'm not really out to say that anyone's worse than the other. If you're a journalist right now in mainstream media, you are either guilty of knowing that your colleagues are doing exactly what I'm talking about, or you're on the take. You're an asset for the MIC or one of these other groups that I mentioned earlier, and you're doing their bidding. Or I suppose we could throw a third in there, saying that you're the dumbest reporter or journalist. You're just too dumb to be a reporter or journalist if you don't know either A or B are occurring, and you should just go into something else. Try car sales or something. It's ethically challenged. I did that. I can make that joke, right? So, anyway, I'm gonna sign off for now. We're gonna have some fun though. Because if you're gonna, my daddy always taught me, if you're going to do something, and I'm adding this part in, no matter how ridiculous that it seems, then I'm going back to my daddy saying, do it the best that you can. So I am kind of doing this the best that I can, even though I have zero desire to be doing this. I'm actually, it even makes me even more pissed at these potato heads that I have to sit here and make an idiot out of myself to try to, it's like the only way that I can possibly get this message out. So if at any point somebody in our government wants to pick up on this and help me out, well, that would be great. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing that the audio has been on the whole time, so that's good. Hopefully we can hear everything. I didn't jump to another page. I can see that it's been playing. I didn't jump to like the website and kill my audio connection, which I did the other day. Hey, all of this is a work in progress. I said I'd do my best. I didn't say I was freaking perfect at it. So, at any rate, thank you very much for your help. I continue to need your help. I will continue to use every freaking penny of any support that you can give me, whether it's sharing, whether it's through Patreon, through PayPal. Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/TheShadowNetHacker. Any way that you can do, even through here, pick up one of our great Ask Me About Obama's ShadowNet mug, and you can pick, within a very short period of time, you'll be able to pick from either the Trump edition, Trump 2020, or the Biden 2020, just to make sure that we remain nonpartisan, right? Because I think that's important. Anyway, thank you very much, folks. Going to tear everything down now and hopefully put it back together in a much cooler mobile fashion. Thank you very much, and signing off. Going to go back into the intro video because simply I don't have an exit video set up yet.
Guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.